seriously like a bad guy, you know what I mean? He came in and he was in full gear, because they have things in the movie like that, you know, where they're dressed up kind of like that, and I didn't know. And then he threw the grenade, or whatever it was, of gas, and it exploded, and there was all this gas. I thought that was a special effect. Nobody really knew what to think of it. And then he shot the ceiling, just straight up in the ceiling, and then everybody knew it was real at that point. And they just started, it was just straight chaos, you know. Everybody was starting to scream and run, and at that point he went straight from here to here with a gun in my face at that point. That rifle was in my face, and I honestly didn't know what to think. I just instinctively jumped forward and ducked inside the, you know, the middle of the aisle and just tucked in a corner. And after that, he was shooting people behind me, and I had like gun shells just, you know, falling on my head, burning my forehead. All I smelled was powder, and it was just really terrifying. And I was telling my friends, I was like, just stay still until he walks up the stairs, because then we're just going to crawl and get out of here. We're going to get out of here. So he walks up the stairs, and all I hear is just gunshot after gunshot, and there's women and children screaming, and it was just really terrifying. And at that point, you know, he was a really big guy. He was really terrifying. He was wearing a gas mask, and he had like a Kevlar kind of suit. He looked like a SWAT guy, you know, as far as that goes. He looked like he was in the military, or SWAT guy. He had a vest on. He had a...
How long did this go on? Did you feel like this was going on? How long was he shooting? Was he spraying? Was he aiming?
He was just shooting at random. People that were trying to run away, if they got up out of the aisle, if they drove or anything, he was just shooting. He didn't have an agenda. It was just anybody that was in his way, he was just going to shoot. And, you know, I honestly can't tell you the time frame, but it felt like forever. And it was probably like 10, 15 minutes in reality, you know, but it was the most insane thing I've ever seen. There were little kids in there getting shot, you know, like 6-year-old kids, babies even. And I'm like, you know, I'm 22 years old. He spared me. Why me? You know what I mean? Like, don't take that little kid, take me instead. Like, that was just like the hardest thing for me to see. And, you know, when I was calling out, I was having a hard time breathing because of that tear gas or whatever he had put into. And I was having a hard time breathing, and I was like, I'm going to suffocate if I can't get out of here. So we're just crawling and crawling. And everybody that was trying to get out was apparently getting shot through the doors, the exit doors. And so we kept running back in. It was just a back and forth thing. And I was one of the last people that, you know, got to, leave as far as that goes. And on my way out, all I see is these dead bodies, you know, and people that were just lifeless, like 14-year-old girl was on the stairs, you know what I mean? I don't know how old she was, but that's how old she was to me, and she was lifeless, you know. And then on my way out, I bumped into this guy, and I have EMT training and fire training, and it was just my instinct to just want to save this guy. And I felt his pulse, and I realized that, you know, he had a weak pulse, and he needed to get out there. So I was trying to pull him out. I was trying to drag him out as far as that goes. And right when I did that, everybody was like, no, the gunman's coming back. We got to go. So I just ran through the hills as far as that goes. But in there, it was just pure chaos. This guy was just shooting one after the other. People say how many gunshots? I can't put a number on it. It's like 50s, 40s, you know, I don't know. It was just, all you hear was screaming and lots of gunshots. And it was just the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
We don't know. We have ideas. From what we saw, he wasn't alone. He had someone with him because the second can of tear gas didn't come from his side. He was completely dressed in black, head to toe. From what we saw, he seemed like he had something over his face, probably to prevent him from breathing in. And we can only assume that someone got him in because whatever he was wearing seemed thick. So I don't think he would really stand out in the crowd.
Man, it was a dance I've never seen in my life. It was like a nightmare in real life.
They came to see the latest Batman film, but ended up witnessing a killing spree. As they fled the cinema, one man, clearly bloodied, is helped away by a police officer. Inside theatre number 9 at the Century 16 movie complex, 10 bodies. Those who escaped with their lives spoke of the shooter's calmness.
He broke in through the door, and he threw things, and like all you could see is pretty much like the mask, just the gas mask. And it was probably one of the scariest images I've ever seen in my life. And he threw up the gun and started shooting like at least like 4 or 5 rounds, and then back on it, and then he just did it again with the other gun, and then he walked past us after we hid under the chairs, and then I just saw him looking down the hallway and making sure, like, I don't know what he was making sure of, but then as soon as he looked away, I grabbed her and we just ran out the emergency exit.
We weren't sure where he was, and if you moved, you didn't know if he was going to be right above you, like, going to shoot you in the back. So, like, the hardest part was just getting up and moving. I was trying to crawl out, but then everybody was crawling back in, and they were saying, don't go over there, he's going to shoot everybody that's trying to get out of the main doors, and he was. And all I hear is just gunshot after gunshot, and just women and children are screaming, and, you know, and he had a gas mask on, so I couldn't see his face or anything like that.
And did you see his gun?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of gun it was. It was just a big rifle, and he was just shooting them. They were big bullets, too, and they were hot, and all I smelled was gunpowder in the air, and I was just terrified.
Started running down the stairs and then down the ramp, and while we were running down the stairs, there's just bodies on the floor. One guy was completely covered in blood. Don't know what happened to him, if he was conscious or not, but people were trying to help others, and then people trying to leave the back where he was going to, people trying to leave there. I saw a couple of bodies more up towards the front of the stairs and everything, and when I got outside, just hectic, everybody screaming, I'm shot, I need help.
Within minutes, the area was swarming with police. After this, the emergency call came through.
15 and 314, first shooting at Century Theaters, 14, 300 East Alameda Avenue. We're saying somebody's shooting in the auditorium. 15 and 314, there is at least one person that's been shot, but they're saying there's hundreds of people just running around. Somebody's still shooting inside theater number 9, current employee. We need rescue inside the auditorium, multiple victims. Please, I got 7 down in theater 9. 7 is down. Copy, Willie on the fire, 7 down in theater 9. I've got a child victim. I need rescue at the back door of theater 9 now.
The injured were rushed to a handful of nearby hospitals, some of them critical, as friends consoled each other, waiting for news outside.
From what I could see, there are people unconscious, people bleeding. I saw one bed go past, a poor guy had blood caked all over his face. He just was not responsive at all. Same thing with the lady, was just all out of it. By the time I left, I overheard the nurses saying they've managed to get most everyone stabilized, which is a blessing, it really is.
The medical teams were scrambled in the middle of the night.
12 of the 15 were gunshot-type victims. 4 of those patients are either in the operating room right now or have gone through the operating room process to treat their wounds. We have another 2 that are about ready to go to the operating room for various injuries as well, and they're all stable. But certainly the first 4 are in critical condition.
Among the injured, a 3-month-old baby and a 6-year-old child. Some of the most seriously wounded died as medics fought to save them. Police said the gunman gave himself up without a struggle outside the cinema.
The suspect, who is in custody, made statements about possible explosives in possession in his residence. At this time, there is a residence in North Aurora, it's an apartment building that we have evacuated, and we are dealing with the potential that there are explosives inside there.
Bomb disposal experts used a robot to examine a suspect vehicle in the cinema car park, so the area was later declared safe. Once the sun was up, a pistol could be seen on the car roof, and what looks like clothing scattered around, but crucially, no explosives. The shooter, James Holmes, who's 24, lives just a short distance away from the cinema complex. Police and the FBI evacuated the neighborhood and broke into his flat.
He lives on the 3rd floor in the back. His apartment is apparently booby-trapped. And what we have is we have a whole bunch of bomb attacks from all different agencies. We have pictures inside the location, and we are trying to determine how to disarm the flammable or explosive material that's in there.
The president quickly changed his plans to focus on the shooting.
We will take every step possible to ensure the safety of all of our people. We're going to stand by our neighbors in Colorado during this extraordinarily difficult time.
In the wake of the horrors of Aurora, the Paris premiere of the Batman film has been cancelled. As the world asks itself once again, why did someone set out to kill like this? Everybody's strange.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Daniel Roots. I'm the Chief of Police here in Aurora. And I think it'd be best to begin the press conference by introducing our Governor, John Hickenlooper, to make some remarks. Governor Hickenlooper.
So, this has been a long day, and I appreciate how long a day it's been for all of you in the media. We are seeing this community rise up and do the things that great communities do. We're dealing with this. 70 casualties, not 71. There was a double reporting there. But the stories that are going to come out of this, of how in a remarkably short time the police force in Aurora responded to this situation, their efficiency in making an apprehension, the ability of our hospitals in remarkably short order to take care of all of these casualties in incredible systems. I'm not saying it was all perfect, but as this story is told, it will be remarkable. As of 3:30, we still had 30 patients in hospitals, 11 still in critical condition. This is an act that defies description. You can't connect emotions that we commonly think of. I mean, everyone I've talked to all day is filled with an anger that can't find focus. And I think that the challenge for all of us as a community is to recognize that we have to move past that. Obviously, there's going to be a level of accountability that the individual is clearly disturbed. Either we will or we will not know exactly the roots of that, how deep that disturbance is. We know how deep it is, but where it came from. But we are clear that we are going to rise back and lift ourselves above this. I visited several of the families in the hospital, and we're going to have, obviously, when you have that many people that have been injured, you're going to have people with lifetime disabilities. And we are already, as a community, beginning to come together. GivingFirst.org, within 3 hours, we had $125,000 of matching gifts, so they raise money. This is through one of the hospital networks, but all the hospitals are going to participate in this to make sure that the victims of this senseless act of violence, that, again, there just aren't words. We want to do everything we can to make sure the victims are brought back in every way and supported in every way that we can. We're not going to let this community be defined by such a, if I had more sleep, I might have a better vocabulary. Anyway, I do think that the first responders were unbelievable, and their ability to work together and coordinate. Our support from the federal government has been incredible. Secretary Napolitano called me from Homeland Security early this morning and wanted to do everything she could. She was a little late because President Obama called me before that, but not until after he called Mayor Hogan. He called the police chief. The whole country recognizes that this is something that we don't accept. We can't explain at this point, but we're not going to just let it happen to us. We're going to push back. Mayor Hogan's not here. His leadership has been remarkable, and in times like this, you see, what is the true quality of people and how can they deal with situations that, there's no training, there's no way you can prepare for something like this. And I think the way he's handled all the integration of the different efforts between the federal and the state the county, and the local. It really is a remarkable skill. And he's been able to keep everybody focused together. No one's pointing fingers. Everybody's moving forward to the next step. All right, this is